This is Bill McMinn from Makeable Bible Church, and this is the Way to Go podcast, where we talk about faith, family, and daily life, putting the Bible into practical, everyday terms. Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. Bill McMinn, along with Josh Hamilton. Been trying to talk to you in a while, getting in here.
Yep, it's a little different to be on this side of the camera.
Well, we like you on the other side of the camera better, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I think you look better on the other side. I don't know.
Well, if I don't like anything, I'll just edit it out. So
that's true. I bet this whole podcast, the only thing we're going to see is you.
That's it.
You're gonna cut me.
I don't even know who I'm talking to right now. he's just on the side over there somewhere. So
just cut me out, John. Do it. Well, as a photographer, I know the feeling of that position, though, because you're always on the other side of the lens.
Right.
You're the guy out there taking the pictures, not typically in the picture. So sometimes you have to be really deliberate if you want to put yourself by a waterfall or whatever it is. You're out there, which I haven't really done enough of. But I have a story for you, and that is the other day. My daughter was over, and a young couple from Cleveland came out. So I'm just, telling them stories. Oh, this and that. So we're sitting at the fire pit and on the patio and telling them about that and some about the projects we've done. And it goes on, I don't know, for a while. And I was trying to encourage them because, too, I think there's that thinking out there that, everything's unattainable. It's not, you can't buy, it's hard to buy a house. Interest rates are higher. Can't make the money you need to really put any money aside. You basically live kind of like living paycheck to paycheck. And how can you ever save? And how can you ever have a house? So kind of content, these are things we're never going to have. So I was trying to, share with them, well, look, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And, I've done side hustle for years and I put my kids through college, blah, 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 blah. So I tell them the story and we did this project, that project, another project. And then, later on, I thought, well, how much credit did you give to God?
Right.
As opposed to saying, oh yeah, hey, we did this and we tried that and then we did this project and we went out and we did this. Yeah, we did, I did, Jerry did. Okay, yeah, but what did God do? Right? And so there has to be that portion because in Psalm 16:2, I say, the Lord, you are my Lord. Apart from you, I have no good thing. And my daughter, she made a comment to me and she said that, I was telling my friends you're a visionary and that's, how this came to be. And, I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, the patio's cool. But that was inspiration from another friend of mine. So I saw him on Instagram. He's a buddy of mine. I saw he was doing stuff and that inspired me. I'm digging a footer. I don't even know what the wall's going to look like yet. We got, broken sandstone. Not that we even knew what we were getting ourselves into. Right. We clearly didn't. The idea for the roof, that was Dana. I think that all the rocks I got from Rick and Sherry Jansen, there's always been someone else involved.
I think that's a testament, right?
Yeah. What's that?
That's a testament to people serving and working together and helping one another.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament, too, of you don't get things done by yourself.
Exactly,
you don't get things done without input. So God puts people in your lives at certain times, and that kind of inspires you along. But God is there. And I just believe that God gets the credit. So next time I talk to them, I'm going to make sure that, hey, I give God credit because I didn't find this. I mean, God opened up doors. God gave opportunities. Right. God's the one who's helped me along the way. And I really think God deserves the credit. And that was one of my, a little bit concerning to me is like, hey, Bill, you can't. Yeah, I get it. You're just talking about experiences. You might say, hey, I went running or I went to school or I'm a pastor. Or for your case, hey, here's what I do. And I also work for the church and I do this. It's normal for us to talk in those terms, correct?
Right, yeah, exactly.
However, on the other hand, apart from you, God, I have no good thing.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
No, I think it's true. I look at my life and where me and my wife are at now and where we used to be. And all the people that have stepped in, if they weren't there to help me through something or be there to, I don't know, my dad stepping in for schooling and co-signing or something like that, where I'm wanting to live in the back of a car at one point, and just people that have stepped in. One time, I remember we, in college, we're not making very much money, we're trying to pay the bills, we're trying to figure it out. And one time it's like, we don't know what we're going to do. We don't know how we're going to pay these bills. And out of nowhere, something comes in the mail and it's a scholarship. I never filled out a scholarship paper. I never did anything to get that scholarship. a lady, her name's Carrie White. She did it all for me. It just happened to come in at the right time.
Right.
Thanks to that
So
person.
the Lord answered prayer.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Well, it says in James 1:17, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. So right there, all of our gifts, the scholarship, other things are coming down from the Father above, right? So
Yeah.
he's the one who orchestrates these things. And then he chose to give us birth through the word of truth, and we might be a kind of first fruits he created. Even the spiritual birth. And Jesus Christ talked to Nicodemus about being born again. You need to be born again. It talks in the Bible about spiritual renewal.
Yeah.
Even that is from God. We were dead in sin in Ephesians 2. We're made alive. That's all God stuff.
Right.
If God didn't do a work in our lives, we wouldn't be. So we can't have any claim that, oh, wow,
Not at
I'm
all.
just so good, or I just made all the right decisions, or no, you wouldn't be anything apart from God. You wouldn't have what you have apart from God. No. The knowledge you have of the Bible, the Holy Spirit had to illuminate you. So I think that it's really important to give credit to where credit is due. And where credit is due is clearly the Lord when it comes to spiritual things, when it comes to physical things, all things.
And I think that helps in doubt too, because there are times when, wow, I wouldn't have been able to do that if this person wasn't there and didn't have the knowledge on how to do concrete or whatever. What would I have done without their instruction? I wanted to get this done, but God put this person here to help me be able to get it.
Oh my goodness, I'm so grateful. I'm so seriously so grateful for the people. I remember, and I've shared this before too. Kevin Max, maybe he was at DC Talk. He was one of the 3 singers, and he broke up DC Talk, and then he wanted to do a solo career, fell on his face. And I heard him speak at the Live Music Festival about it. And he just said that you got to remember, he goes, I was who I was because of the other guys. I thought that I could go on my own and I could be a big star on my own. And he goes, I just realized I was who I was because of the team I was playing on. And I thought it was such a great, important lesson. I probably heard that speech from him about 10 years ago. And I've always thought about that ever since. It's like, yeah, you can only go as far as the team that you're on. So, I mean, there's a lot of credit that has to go to a lot of different people.
We're all members in one body, and we're all blessed with different gifts, and we all work together towards one goal.
Right. But don't take credit.
And you know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying that you can never say, hey, today I sold a car, if you're a car salesman, or of course, we're going to talk about things we did. I mean, you and I, we talk about running.
Right.
So we'll talk about, hey, I was on the treadmill today, or hey, I got out. Hey, I made it out to the trail this morning. I got 2 miles in, or 3, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Lately it's been 2. Hopefully it'll be 3 soon enough, and maybe 4, I don't know, but I'm not a long distance runner. I can tell you that, but I like to do it just for the fitness of it. But I get it. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff in our normal terms, but in our thinking, in the depths of our thinking, we've got to come to realize, yes, we're alive, we have breath, we have everything because of the Lord. And there are 3 things that I was thinking about. One question is that you can ask yourself, how's God blessed you spiritually? Then how's God blessed you materially? How has God blessed you relationally? Because I think all those are important. So spiritually, from that end, we start off with salvation. I mean, we have salvation. God opened our eyes.
Yep.
We have a righteous standing before God. He did it.
Yeah, we don't deserve any of it.
No, it's all by grace, right?
Right. We may have, all of us have common grace, but yeah, without Christ dying on the cross, if we got what we truly deserved,
well,
we
wouldn't be with God.
We'd be in hell.
Honestly, I do. Absolutely. I don't think that, for me, I don't know. I don't think any of us should be thinking we're the greatest person on the planet. That's a fact.
No.
I do not think that is not what we should be thinking. We should be thinking we're sinners saved by grace.
Yeah.
And, we all have our struggles, different things that we have to work on, and God touches our heart about. And I think that's important. But the things that I look at spiritual blessings too, if you ask for wisdom, God will give you wisdom. So I think there are times where, I don't know, I don't really know what to do, but God always lights the way. When you're asking and you're praying, I think there are times where you don't know how you're going to make the next step. How will you even accomplish it? And sometimes you don't even want to anyway. Let's face it. There are times where you want to be like, bag this. Like, I don't, not only do, how can I do it? I don't even want to do it anyway. So then when that fresh wind comes, hits the sails, and that's a blessing from God. He's just giving you the strength to go that next step and to keep at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
What are some spiritual things you are appreciative of?
Spiritual things?
Yeah.
I mean, well, you nailed one of them as far as salvation goes. Prayer is a really big one. Being able to have a relationship with God and actually speak to him, that he understands us. He knows what we're going through. I think that's a huge, huge thing, having a relationship with him for sure.
Right. And have you seen a lot of answers to prayer?
Oh, absolutely. Miraculous answers to prayer. You look back on some things, and where you're at currently in life, you may be down and you may be in some type of struggle, and then you don't know how you're going to get out of it. And then you look back and you're like, wow, God really answered that prayer. Maybe I didn't give him credit when I should have gave him credit.
Right. I've seen it. Like, I've seen dramatic answers to prayer where you come through, and not that every week is, oh my goodness, so I got everything I wanted. And it's this big cornucopia of God's blessings rolling. I do feel blessed all the time, but there are key moments where something is excruciatingly, incredibly important to you. Like, this is game changer stuff, and I need God's help. And when he comes through and you see how things change dramatically, or I've seen God where he's even provided before you even knew to ask.
Oh yeah.
So he already had it figured out because he knew it was coming down the road, and you just sit back and say, okay, well, you knew, I didn't.
Right. And bring in the little things. Make sure you bring not just big things, make sure you bring the little things to God as well, because he cares about all of it.
Right. Fruit of the Spirit.
Fruit of the Spirit, self-control. I'd say that's a big one.
Right.
Making sure that you are in control of yourself. I strongly believe, I used to have a temper problem, and that anger is a controlled emotion, and you can learn, to practice that fruit of the Spirit and control.
It's okay. I mean, I just talked to some pastors, and they were talking about somebody who's upset, and I'm like, well, I would have been upset by that too. It wasn't
I'm not saying
that. Yeah, there's righteous indignation. I mean, it's okay to be angry. Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you do something stupid, one of the kids, and they almost killed, one of your kids almost killed your other kid, I'd probably be a little ticked about that. So, and it's okay, but I think you can't sin in your anger. That's the key. But I do agree. I mean, because I'll go and throw another one on there aside from self-control, and that's patience. And there are times where, especially in my coaching days, where parents would say to me, I cannot believe how patient you are with these kids. And I would say and think, it's not me.
Right.
I'm not the one who's patient. God's the one who's patient. God gives me his patience. My patience is then displayed to the kids.
Yes.
It's not my patience. I was working on God's patience. So that's helped me a lot, where it's not, there's times you love people that really aren't that lovable, but you feel it. You feel it welling up in you. You feel, hey, I don't know where all this love comes from. I don't know where this concern comes from right now, other than I'll point it to God and just say, God is just filling my heart. And I appreciate that.
I see it in parenting too. I mean, through the practice of, sanctification, where we're always growing.
Right.
And so anytime I'm getting angry or impatient or whatever, it's revealing to me on my sin nature and things that I need to work on. So like, as I'm parenting, God is actually parenting me in that moment.
Well, I'll parent you. Nothing will test your patience like kids, and you already know that. So that was my experience. Like, who's going to test my patience the most? Oh, by far, my kids.
Right.
Not my wife. I would say, no, not Jerry, really. But the kids, oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. And you're waiting around for them to get. Yeah, I mean, I had all kinds of strategies by the time this was all said and done for dealing with all that nonsense. So I would consider myself, my wife would agree, yeah, you were patient. Truly, but there are times I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? There were moments where I was not patient. I would never argue with them. I'm going to tell you to do something. All the reason, I'm like, not a discussion.
Right.
I'm not talking. I'm not here to talk to you about it. I'm here to tell you, you're going to take out the trash. Now, you do it now, you do it an hour from now, that's up to you. but you're going to do it. It's not talk to you about it. So that kind of stuff, I'd just be walking away from, and they knew, and they would get it, because then what your teens will do, if you don't realize that, if you're a parent of teens, they are really good at manipulating. They want to upset the apple cart. They want to make your life as miserable as possible, so they don't have to do anything, and you'll just throw up your hands and do it yourself, because you'd rather do it yourself than have to go through that.
Yeah.
So
you got to have patience and work through that. That's
exactly.
For sure.
I just removed myself from it. I would tell them, hey, this is what I want you to do. I wasn't, that was the end of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to sit here and have this big, long conversation about it. It's just, no, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And so that was it. And again, that helped me tremendously.
Yes. And I will say that if there is a time where you get overly angry or do something towards your child, you need to be able to go back to them and ask for forgiveness from them, and let them know that you're not perfect.
Right.
You know, so I think that's a thing as a parent, or even as a child, needs to know that you're not perfect.
No, you're not perfect, but they were probably less perfect than that.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing.
Trust
with
me,
that.
I'm going to tell you what you're going to see. Your kids are young. As they get older, and I do not believe they rebel. I don't believe that all teenagers rebel. I think that's absolute nonsense. I think that if you have a good relationship with your kids, my kids were not rebellious.
Oh yeah, relationship is key for sure.
Clearly not, never were. They're all straight arrows. You know what I'm saying? That was never an issue with us. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. But there were other things, clearly.
But I'm very thankful, because I have a 12-year-old, and she'll talk to me about things that I would never have talked to my parents about.
Right.
And I'm thankful that she
open door
able to.
Yeah, well, that means you have a good relationship with them, and that's commendable. It's awesome. Right. Material blessings, I think, are one. So spiritual blessings, material blessings. I think that all the things that you have, you realize how much God has done for you, and where you be. Where would I be without God? And
absolutely
God's people too. I think that's like super, super important. So if you have concerns about that, then, and some people do, my question is, okay, well, what are you doing about that? Like, if you do have, and finances are a lot on your mind, or a big conversation between you and your spouse, are you praying about that? Are you seeking godly counsel? Are you reading Christian authors? Like, who's our guy that always does financial peace? Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey, yeah.
Right. Larry Burkett in the old days, financial advice, something like that for young married couples. Great book. I read it 30 years ago when I was young, and it was very helpful, actually. So, and I bought it. I went and found it on Amazon and gave it to my daughter and son-in-law, so they would have it, because that book helped me explain to me so much. And I love having a couple. Like, Dave Ramsey's great, but Larry Burkett was great. And if I had to take both books, I probably learned more from Larry Burkett, to be honest. Even as great as I think Dave Ramsey is, and I do think he's great, but that guy there's a lot of stuff I didn't know, to be honest. Like, I just didn't understand financially, and he would use stories and illustrations, and, hey, somebody did this, here's what happened, somebody did this. And he would always have things that, when it was all said and done, like, it made such perfect sense. So I never understood I didn't come from a family great with money, so I didn't really learn anything there, and I had to educate myself. And I thought being good with money meant you kept track of it, not that you had a plan for it. Not that you were actually, no, being good with money means if you're in a position that's tight, you're already putting money away from the inevitable car repair every week. You're already putting money away for the kids' clothing every week. You're already putting money away for savings every week. I talked to one young couple. I said, listen, I hear what you're saying. You don't have a house. Are you saving for a house? Like, right now, even if it's $50 a week, are you putting money aside for a house? Because you're right. You got to do something. You know what I'm saying? You can't just sit here in this inevitable cloudy murkiness of uncertainty and not take one step. God will bless you on the way, but sometimes I think, God's going to bless, but what are you doing? Right.
I think the one thing that you did is you took the knowledge that you learned, and then you passed that down to your daughter and son-in-law. And we were talking earlier about people that come in our life, or we help serve with us, or help us accomplish things and stuff. Iron sharpens iron. We're always helping one another. And if we're learning something, we know something, we shouldn't be prideful and stingy with that information. We should be helping other people.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say this, but I mean, every kid should be on the same page financially. You should not even be allowed to get a credit card until you can explain what that interest rate is going to do to you.
Oh, yeah.
And how it actually works. If you can't pass a test to explain how it works, you shouldn't have a credit card. That's what I think.
Well, we get into college. Yeah.
Well, relationally too. And all blessings, whether material blessings, spiritual blessings, relational, church, family, friends, right? All that kind of stuff. Like I think of my family, huge. I mean, my grandson, huge blessing, my kids, my wife. Not in that order, all important. Church, family, friends, all of that. I feel like I'm totally blessed.
Yeah, same here, for sure.
So, count your blessings, my friends. And there's an old song that said, count your blessings, count them one by one. And sometimes we need to, and not only count them, we need to give credit to God. I mean, we're talking to people saying, hey, listen, I just want you to know, I didn't do it on my own. I did it with God's help. You guys all have an awesome week.